Hello and welcome to the 16th episode of the Oracle of Seasons 90% Speedrun tutorial. In the previous episode we have looked at the first half of Dungeon 8, Sword and Shield Maze. And we also discussed the mini-boss Tripolar, and this episode we continue on from here and look at the second half of this dungeon. So moving on, you want to equip your Ember Seeds, and I like to equip the sword in case these keys are in your way. You can kill them. So you want to light these 7 torches with the seed shooter upgrades. That shouldn't be too much of a problem. Sometimes a keys can be in your way when you shoot it like that. I think you can actually make it in time if it's 1 seed, because you don't have to wait a cooldown, which does happen if your seed actually hits something like that, or the wall down there, because it still checks if the seed is on the screen or not, and if it hits an enemy, the enemy itself turns into a burning enemy instead of the seed itself staying on the screen like on the top wall. If you shoot it there, you can see the flames staying there. So, grab your Ember Seeds. Make sure any keys that are in your way are gone. If you fall in the pit, you probably have to start over, so do the torch that you did last so it has time to go out again. And then you can move on and equip your seed and cape. So up next is a pretty difficult room for newcomers at least, and that is this ice puzzle room. You have these 3 ice blocks and you have to go in the 3 gaps. Why did I use the seed? In the 3 gaps on the right side. So once you come in, you want to start with this block, the left one, and push it down and to the right. That way it can block this top block. And you can push it down. You can line up in this corner if you like, but there's a pretty nice way in order to keep your movement steady, and that is with jumps, because when you jump you're not affected by the ice and you can actually keep your movement pretty consistent using jumps. So that's the pattern. So if you want to do it with jumps, you can keep moving on, do this jump here, and actually push it. You can do jumps along the way in order to keep your momentum right. And you go along, again with jumps, to make it a little bit easier. So you gotta get your timing down for that. Especially those first ones can be a bit tricky, because you have to find your point where you want to start jumping. So generally like to be like 1 tile away from the block, from the position I want to be in. So if I want to be at the top here, I start jumping here. Because if you know the game mechanics work with jumping, you can buffer your down input a bit, similar in the earlier parts in Dungeon 8. So that's generally what's used in this puzzle room. Again, you can also use jump to gain some momentum, because ice has the tendency to not accelerate you pretty fast, so... And that's how you do the puzzle. So one more time. Just keep jumping. You can use the cape whenever you want to. Especially on that one, it's really convenient to use the cape. Ooh, a little bit too far up. So yeah, that's the ice puzzle room. So coming up next is the underground ice room, which is also really sketchy. You want to be really careful with this. Well, careful, not really careful, I guess. You want to be precise with your jumps. I'm gonna show it once, and then explain a little bit about it. So that's the underground ice room. If you use 1 seed, you can get all the way through if you do it perfectly. If you fall down halfway through, that's gonna be annoying. So, coming in, you want to straight off use a seed. And if you don't use a seed, you can jump like that, which is... Especially if you fall down in this room, it's pretty tricky to get those jumps with a seed, so it's usually easier to just go back up the ladder. So say if you fall down, you want to avoid those traps, you can kind of jump over them, go back up the ladder, And if you still have your seat, you can actually make that. And generally, you won't have your seat for this room then anymore. So either you use the new seat. Wow, that boost. Or you try to do it without actually using a seat, without speed boost. So without speed boost, you just want to camp this platform a little bit until this one comes along and you can cape along to this part. And then you want to land on the first one. Watch out for the keys, because they can knock you off. Excuse me. Because they can knock you off, yeah. So, especially falling down in the third room can be really disastrous if you don't know how to deal with it. Also, I missed my jump. So let's say I fall off because I jumped too far or too slow, I guess. Want to watch out if you don't want to take damage, you want to avoid taking damage. And this platform, you cannot actually jump on that without using a seat. So if you want to make it, you want to gain some momentum, so use your seat and do a jump, so you actually get your forward speed and make it up here in order to get back safely and fast. Otherwise you have to wait a cycle and actually move along the bottom floor to the right side to make it, or wait for the platforms to actually do a forward rotation, which is really annoying. Again, if your seat runs out here, you can do a jump to gain momentum and actually make it across to the second swamp. So I'm gonna load the save state again so I keep my seats. Just don't worry about the keys. If they are in your way, if they knock you around, that's gonna be worse. Oh wow, I actually got knocked back to this first one. Alright. Here's another interesting seat room. Because at the end there's a large gap you want to jump over. And you want to use your seat there. So if you wait a little bit with using your seat until you're like halfway through the room, you can keep that seat until the final jump. If you aren't feeling confident in this jump, and I can see that, I guess, because it can be a tricky jump to set up with all the mummies and the ropes around, you can just use your seat at the start and use another when you get there. So make sure to avoid all the enemies. Oh wow, my seat ran out, yeah, because I used the dirty habit. So yeah, you get over here, you can line yourself up if you have the time for it. On the borderline, doesn't have to be too precise of a jump if you lined up correctly. But yeah, that's it. If you don't have seats anymore, you can grab your sword and your boomerang if you want. You can boomerang the mummies to freeze them. And you can also use the boomerang to hit the switch. Like that, and spawn the bridge so you can walk over. So then you have this room. This room has 3 keys and 2 pulse voice. You can hit the keys with your boomerang if you prefer. And for the pulse voice you can use your flute, because pulse voice can't stand music sound. And unfortunately this makes sound, so they die. And that opens the bottom left door. Don't worry about the button is a trap. So exiting out, you can get your seeds, I guess, and bombs. Normally I tend to use seeds and cape, but this is a better equipment. So you can use a seed, grab this boss key, watch out that you don't accidentally jump off by running too far, and go down here and open this key door and move on. If you're low on health, here are sparks. You can grab a boomerang and take a fairy if you need to. So coming in here, you can bump this jump on the far right side so you can move in. I actually threw it too tight. Wow. You want to throw it like in the middle of the tile and go in. So this is the Armos room and he's giving me the good pattern. Wow. There are like 4 to 5 patterns, I'm not exactly sure. You just want to make sure you copy his movement and do it right. If you go back, it won't work. So every time you enter, he can do a different pattern. This is the loop-de-loop. He goes around 12 tiles up, left, down 2 tiles, and back. So especially on the first in the first part you want to make sure you know what to do. And then generally he either goes up to this side and goes straight to the check mark, which is this tile, or he does a zigzag on this 6 block square. I don't have my sword out, oops. Or he just goes around to the right side. Those are the 3 patterns at the end. And at the start you can get a zigzag straight off where he goes just left, right, left. Or you can get this pattern where he just goes 3 up, right, 3 up, left. And all the way. 3 up, 3 up. That's the best pattern, of course, because you only have to zigzag once. And there's also a pattern where you have to go zigzagging like that. And go up here, and it usually finishes with a zigzag up here also. But yeah, once you do that, grab the key, move along. You want to equip your bracelet and your sword, because you want to pick up these ice rocks. And if anything is in your way, you can use your sword later. Don't press any other buttons, don't press A or B in the minecart, because then you will throw the rock out. You can do this here if you want, in order to hit something, but you have to grab it anyway. I like to do this ice rock first. You have 4 places to drop ice rocks in. And you can reach 3 of them at the moment, so this one is nice to do first, because on the way back through the minecart, you can actually hit some of these stelphos, skeletons, so they are not in your way. Especially one of them starts spawning near the hole that you want to throw the ice rock in. That's really annoying, since there is not enough room to dodge him. So yeah, second rock, you can throw it down here, hit the switch, pick it back up, and continue on. Wow, the wiz rope is down. Get wrecked, the wiz rope. That blue wiz rope is really annoying in the room to the left. So yeah. Also, you get this little cutscene, nothing you can do about it to fasten this up. And after this cutscene, you will always spawn in the middle of a tile. And generally, it tries to put you either to the right or down. So, you want to make sure you are fully on a tile here and as far down as you can be. Because if you're on this edge, it will just push you to the left and down on this tile. So you can keep that in mind in order to get a little bit of a frame saver. You have 1 tile less to travel on. So yeah, once you've done that, you go back, hit the switch, go back again to grab a 3rd ice rock. Again, in the minecart there's not much you can do. So grab this rock and go down. So yeah, you can throw it in there, if I can actually throw it. And then stand on this tile, about 2 tiles away from the staircase. Because if you are, you get a little bit of iframes, I guess you can call it, after you throw it in, which happens if you are on this tile and you want to walk in the stairs straight away, you will just walk over it. And the funny thing about stairs is, if you are on top of them, you don't enter them, so you have to get off them again and get in. Over here you can grab your seeds and cape, and use your cape to avoid any enemies that are in your way, and or gain momentum, I guess, if you need it. Like in this room, the cape is really useful. Go down here, you can use a seed and go to this staircase. Then use a seed and go on. You need health, anti-fairies, sparks, I guess. You want to switch your equips to the sword and either keep the seeds, or if you need health, switch to the boomerang. You can also grab the fairies with the boomerang. Let me actually show you the fastest way to do this room. Actually save it, so I save the seed. So once you come in, you want to dodge this spark, hit this, and open the chest, so you don't get caught up by any of these sparks and you can just walk back. Yeah, that can be pretty tricky, so that's why it's sometimes I just grab the boomerang anyway, so you can get rid of this spark that's gonna be in your way, usually. So yeah, coming in, Want to get him stuck there and come and walk back. Depends on how many seeds you have left in order that you can use a seed here. I like to keep this 1 seed, I think. Yeah. If you have 2 seeds, you can use it. And here you can use your last seed. You want to go to the down right corner here to grab this chest which contains a key. And move along, equip your bracelet. And sword, I guess, depending on what you prefer. Then you want to use the sword so you can get rid of enemies if they are in your way. Especially on the 4th ice rock hole. It can be pretty annoying. So again, go into the minecart, into the wish rope room. Watch out for any wish ropes. Throw your rock so you can open this door and pick it back up. Watch out for any spiked beetles. And in this room, they could be in your way. And I noticed that this shrouded Stelphos was right next to the minecart, so I decided to drop my rock already in a decently convenient spot and throw it in. And you want to move across. I think I made it out of the ice, which helps a lot. So you want to make it all the way down to the down right corner and hope you actually spawn out of the ice. Because, yeah, nice. Because if you spawn on the ice, you have to accelerate on the ice, and that's pretty slow. So coming down here, you can actually equip your cape. If you have a seed left over, you can always use it here. But make sure to keep your sword out. So, this is the boss area. And make sure to kill everything so it's not in my way, thank you. There are these 4 pots here. And they contain some package seeds and hearts. Now, say you lost a ton of hearts. And you think, oh, 2 hearts, that's not enough. Well, go back and forth. And they actually respawn. And the package seeds respawn also in these 2 pots. So you can farm a little bit of hearts, however many you need them. And if you want extra package seeds, you can farm them also, but you don't really need them. You only need the 10 that you start with. So then you come up on Medusa Head. Medusa Head is a pretty hard enemy, I guess. It's more of a damage rush if you don't know what you're doing. So generally you want to keep your swords charged out and get some hits in on the way. Wow, I'm actually letting her escape. So yeah, that's Medusa Head. I believe it's 16 hits to kill her. So yeah, starting off you can keep charging your swords. If you want, you can wait a little bit until she starts moving. And I actually missed my spin stack, wow. Because I'm in the wrong position, I believe. I don't even know. Well, either way, you can charge your spin slash. When she spawns, spin and get a slash in. If you wait until right after she starts moving, you can actually avoid having to chase her around the room. So you can get 3 hits in, a spin slash, a normal hit, jump over and get a hit in order to stop the chasing around. Because if you let's first start off with the balls that she shoots, of course, that's more important. Those balls, they petrify you. And you can be petrified with your sword out and still damage Medusa Head. Which is pretty interesting. If you don't get it after a while, she starts closing in a little bit on you, not much, and just disappear. So yeah, that's what you want to avoid. You want to definitely avoid getting hit by those balls when she starts spawning. Because then you have to chase her around until you hit her. So yeah. So those are the 2 attacks she can do. She can spawn in the middle and shoot those petrification balls. Or she can zoom across the top of the screen. Oh, wow, I didn't avoid it. Or she can zoom across the top of the screen, shooting a laser beam across where you can just jump over. Or instead, take the damage and get a spin slash in. And actually finish this. I didn't have my sword charged up. Wow, I'm actually missing a lot. So yeah, if you have to chase her around, try to be a step ahead of her, I guess. You can call it like that. So she starts circling around like that. You want to make sure you get her near a corner. Again, corners don't work as well, I guess, as compared to the Moblin brothers in Dungeon 1 miniboss. So yeah, charge your swords, get your position, and get a spin slash in to instantly despawn her. If you're lucky, you can get 5 hits in. And otherwise you just have to wait, because if you have to chase her around, it's really annoying. Especially if you get knocked back by the fireballs she shoots. So yeah, that's the fight. Also, I did it a few times already, but during the laser phase, where she just zooms across the top of the screen, you can actually get 3 hits in, a spin slash and a normal hit, if you jump along with her right after you actually hit her. But that's pretty tricky, so generally you want to keep it to a spin slash. Takes a little bit of practice and sometimes you don't even get it. So yeah, that is Medusa Head. There's also a... you can actually skip this heart container, because even if you need a heart refill, there are fairies going out of this dungeon. So some people like to skip this heart container. If you're new, of course, grab it. Any extra hearts are helpful. And then you get the Essence of Seasons, or whatever it's called, I don't even remember. Thought it was something like that. So yeah, this is the longest dungeon in the game. It almost feels like 2 dungeons because of the different aspects of it. The first half of the dungeon is mostly trying to save your health, do some trick jumps, I guess, to make sure you can actually beat Tripolar without dying. And then the second half is a lot of puzzle platforming with ice, and the ice rocks at the end, of course. So yeah, you want to make sure you get your route down, and if you die, you make sure that you don't actually do stuff again. Especially in the first half of the dungeon, you can skip a bit. You got the keys and stuff, so yeah. Yeah, that's it for this episode. There's gonna be one more episode left, and that is for the final fight. So make sure to watch this episode, and if you don't want to, have a nice day.